All right. Hello. Um, this is about developer experience. With that in mind, let's go. So, by way of introduction, my name is Jason. I work in the developer relations, developer experience space. And as such, I was really interested in learning a little bit more about different tools that I might use on future projects as a way of learning, but also to see a little bit more about how other people approach adoption, providing things to developers. With that, I'm basically show by show just taking a peek at some tool that I've heard about but haven't tried yet. By way of a code of conduct, since I am looking at some work of other people, I do want to uh, give a reminder in case anyone comes in and has comments or anything like that. My goal really here is to be kind. Having a really good developer experience is hard work, whether that's from the design of an API or an SDK or just the whole adoption journey. The spirit really is to be a little bit growth oriented, that if something is wrong, I might call it out on that. I don't mean it in a mean way or to be disparaging of the work of others. I really am just looking at it as a learning opportunity. Is like, hey, this wasn't as effective. This might be a thing I wouldn't want to do on my next project. But also, on the other hand, recognizing when good things happen. That's a little bit of a preamble there to get things underway here. The other format of the show, it is in the spirit of communications marketing story, that you only have 3 seconds to get someone's attention. Someone took that idea in their API Days talk and applied it to developer experience, saying that you really only have 3 seconds for someone to really understand what an API is for, 30 seconds for them to find an entry point, and 3 minutes for them to be able to create an account, execute a call, and use the result, right? And some people might refer to this KPI as time to hello world. I think 3 minutes is very aggressive, I am a little bit more forgiving when it comes to the amount of time it takes to get things going. I probably will be trying things out for about a half hour. Really, what you're witnessing is the first half hour of me using something I don't know anything about, really, and then I continue on after that, and hopefully we'll use it in a project or talk more about what I've learned. The other spirit of this, when I've worked on things, I've used an approach called Customer Zero, which is really talking about adoptability. So it's different than a QC QA type of process, in that it is really about saying, hey, I built a thing. Let me give it to someone who wasn't involved with building the thing. So usually Customer Zero, it comes from the idea someone internal to an organization, or a friend, or someone who knows a little bit about the thing that's being constructed, can give an opinion because they weren't involved with actually building the thing. The other part of it is, it's not, unit testing or functional testing, acceptance testing is not really about whether or not the thing does what it aimed to do. It's about, hey, in a real world scenario, using other tools in combination with this tool to to try to achieve a certain use case that it was built to intend. Can I actually pull all of that together? So sample apps, documentation, dashboards, and account creation, email, all of these things become important to achieving the outcome. So the way capture a lot of that feedback is just like user experience testing, is sort of an idea of friction logging. And this comes with the idea of actually keeping a literal log of, hey, here are the problems I'm seeing. Here's what I'm thinking about those problems. Here's a screenshot, or here is a copy of the error message, and things like that. And originally, this type of process I was done that way, but it turns out recording the sessions is actually a very effective way of doing this. So sometimes internally it would be like, hey, I'm going to set up a meeting. I actually did this with other people that I asked to do a Customer Zero test with me. I would schedule a meeting, invite them to it, so they know automatically you get 30 minutes to an hour. If it's anything more than that, we already know the result, right? Like there's diminishing returns beyond that. So it really time boxes the amount of time to go through this type of exercise. And if someone can speak out loud while going through it, it helps. It's like, hey, this is really frustrating, or this is complex or unnecessary, or oh my goodness, I saw an error message, but it went too fast. I didn't get a chance to get a screenshot of it, or whatever. So anything that's not easy to understand, trying to figure out what comes next, those are things that help understand whether something is a good, or there's room for you know room for improvement. Um, the idea here is, in the spirit of that 3:33 kind of mindset, starting shows at 3:30 p.m. my time, local time in Pacific, streaming on Twitch and YouTube. I do need to push out an update to developerxp.com. Eventually, that will maybe be a website. Right now, by website, I mean it is a text file with some notes on it, as well as some of the upcoming shows. So today I'm looking at Directus, and I'll tell you a little bit more about why in a moment. And then this is actually, I tried playing with Find the other day. I didn't exactly have a use case, so it was kind of a little bit of a false start. So I'm going to give it another try with something that's a little bit more in the heat of the moment, so that I can actually try it out for real. And then, like most systems do have a need for user management. So I haven't used Okta as a user. I mean, as a user I have, but as a developer building something, I haven't actually used Okta before. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So with that out of the way, I am going to say, let's go. So let me bring over a new web browser, and see how far we can get with Directus. So the reason I have chose, and I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger here. Okay, so the reason I chose Directus is, I think, not too long ago, I heard somebody listing, what was in their tech stack, and Directus had come up. And I thought it was interesting because I wasn't familiar with the tool. I didn't know anything about it, but it was positioned as a headless CMS. I've actually not used Contentful or Sanity, but those are the two that I've heard most frequently about, other than, of course, just going and building your own Gatsby, GitHub pages, Jekyll, whatever. But the idea of having a database of content that you can update, maintain, and treat as just content without necessarily needing to deal with certain deployments does seem appealing to me. So I've wanted to check out, what is Directus. So usually I start with a search, as anything. So like if I was told go use Directus, that's one thing. But here I'm saying, hey, go find a headless CMS solution. So in the spirit of things, Directus is maybe the first one I'm evaluating. And so I usually start with a search, to say like, hey, um, is this a real company? I mean, really, all I have to base this off of is some stranger on the internet said that it was interesting, and that they were using it. So let me find out more about it. So, one area I often, because of doing the search, one thing that often is useful for me is actually seeing who else is advertising on the keyword of a competitor, because that sometimes could tell me who else is out there, and whether they have an ad budget to actually do that. It also gives me a quick assessment of, what other resources are out there, maybe for getting started, but also reviews and things like that in terms of content that might help me on board, right? So something like this, getting started with the Directus SDK, seems appealing, but it's 3 minutes and 56 seconds. So I don't know what that is, but here's another one. It's about 25 minutes. But I look at the dates, 2023 is pretty recent. 2021 might be out of date, or it might be valid. I don't know. So usually I will start with the actual website itself. Um, I know a lot of people will do a lot of hemming and hawing about, especially for a developer facing tool. And I assume Directus is going to be in that camp. Whether or not I will spend a whole lot of time on a page like this, versus going and just jumping right to the documentation. It depends on how much I know, I find, in terms of whether or not I make that decision. So actually, before I get to which, I want to start my timer. Um, So I do have a timer going as well, just to see how far I get in a certain amount of time. Um, the back end to build anything or everything. Um, I don't. That sounds, So that's the other reason. I assume that a website will be written by marketers that are well intentioned, but until I see exactly how it works, what the responses are, it's hard to say. But let's see. Book a demo, create a project. So it sounds like I could go right in, which is good. When I'm looking at this, I'm not sure what this image is trying to tell me. What is custom? So maybe headless CMS is the wrong idea. Is this more than that? Is it just a database as a service? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Build for technical teams, used and loved by everyone. There's brands here I recognize. That's a good sign. But of course, the bigger a company, the more likely there is just one person on a team of two that's using a thing, as opposed to something that's used by the entire company. But still, it seems like gives a little bit of credibility. Turn any database into a headless data engine to power any project. So that's interesting. If I go back to that, here, the headless CMS was what I was thinking. So I was thinking, text content, but it does sound like it's a little bit more of a database, um, for a lot of different things. That could be why people like it. Um, again, again, I really only heard one person talking about it, but it was in a positive light. Connect data sources, let Directus handle the heavy lifting. Oh, okay. So personalized admin dashboard. Huh. Success stories, Drupal to Directus. It's an interesting. I'm not sure what to expect right now, to be honest. Okay, so backend as a service, headless CMS. And the reason I say that is I have heard of some of these tools. I haven't really done a whole lot with them, but the idea that you just point it at your database and it'll generate a RESTful client for doing, the marshaling of data in and out of that storage, whatever it is. Okay. Well, anyways, under developers, I got docs, API reference, quick start guide, um, roadmap. Oh, they actually have a public roadmap. That's kind of cool. GitHub repository, the Docker Hub. Do I deploy? I wonder what's they got there. Um, Pricing. Sometimes I do like to look at pricing just to see what I'm getting myself into. Looks like a free trial, and then 99 a month. Oh, that's why Docker Hub. So I could self-host it. Well, this is true of me. Um, so I might have to self-host this. So I wonder what this is in. Like if I was thinking of it as a hosted content database, I don't know what the pricing is of the alternatives right now. But right now, 99 a month sounds like a lot of content is, not necessarily my main thing, but it might become that. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. Okay, so I care about docs quite a bit. It's really important to have good documentation, I think. Um, and so that is kind of in directus. Yeah, okay. Um, present data in a simple, orderly, and intuitive way. Okay. Let's Yeah, so this definitely, it starts, headless CMS, but then also talks about it as how it's a API based data backend. Okay, so it's installed as a layer on top of your newer existing SQL database. It mirrors your actual schema and content. Right. And that's what I say. There's a lot of tools now that, your ORM type systems or code generators or whatever is, a lot more introspective now. This is similar to how technical database clients work. Um, access to data. This is okay. Okay, let me jump to the quick start. Maybe, yeah, there's a lot of text. So why did I go and do this? So I felt like I was skimming, which I often do. I look for headers to understand it. I was kind of focusing on how it works, but this feels a little bit more like positioning type of information. Um, and and I do still feel like maybe I'm misinterpreting what, I came in with one set of expectations, and now I feel like I'm seeing something slightly different. And that's okay. But like, I was thinking, oh, I'm not going to go host my own database somewhere. I'm going to use Directus to store content, like the schedule, for example, of the show, and then to be able to have something that an API that I can use to automatically keep everything in sync. Right now, I'm running it as just like a simple web app, and I just go and edit a text file and push it, and that's fine. But I, effectively have to build the site and push out content and all of that's involved with that. To a certain extent, hey, pull in some of that scheduling information from a database could keep my calendar as well as the online portals and the app all in sync, right? So that was my use case coming into this and why I thought it would be valuable. So to that, I don't have a database. I was really thinking that I could store my content here. Whereas what this sounds like from that skimming is it's a little bit more of a middleware. So I would still need to figure out my own data store. But let's see if my assumption is wrong. Let's go here. Quick start. Designed to get you up and running with a project in a few minutes, right? So that's again that's that time to hello world metric. Along the way, you will better understand what it is, set up your project locally or with the cloud, and get a hands-on introduction to the app and API. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go with the self-hosted for now. Presumably, I can run that locally, I guess. Um, or create and log into the cloud account. So like the reason I'm hesitant to this is that billing, right? Um, a flat fee of 99 a month immediately says that this is going to price me out of what I'm willing to pay for now at this stage of what I'm working on. Um, and if it's only a 14-day free trial, I'm going to burn through that 14 days long before my project's ready to go live. So um, oh, don't have an account, register for free. But I'm gonna guess that you're gonna ask me for a credit card and then bill me after 14 days, or that's the way it feels from the pricing. But I suppose we'll give it a try. We'll see what that onboarding experience looks like. Okay, so register for Directus Cloud. Our cloud dashboard is the fastest and easiest way. All right. Let me hop over to my password manager. Sometimes I remember to do this ahead of time, but okay, generated one. Okay, so I'm gonna have an email coming. See what they say in the email. It's just an email confirmation, so pretty straightforward. Okay, email address verified. Okay, we're going to log into the dashboard. Um, I read about it in an online forum. I think that's fair. Um, Hosting content. So I like these questions for what it's worth. It's not really asking about my business. It's a little bit more focused on, hey, how'd you hear about us? That's fair. It is an open ended text form, so I don't know how useful that information is as opposed to a drop down, but it's I like that they're interested in that. What interests you most about Directus? They get some feedback right off the bat in terms of expectations, even though it is an open-ended question. And what other tech? I know this is something I, having worked in the space, care a lot about. Is I want to know what technology people are like. If I'm building content, sample apps, demos, a lot of different use cases to make things easier to use. Um, doesn't help to write a COBOL SDK if no one's using it. Uh, so anyway, all right. So that's the onboarding survey. Creating a team. We'll go ahead and do that. So far I haven't had to put a credit card in, which is useful. So it is a 14-day trial period. Okay. So that to me suggests maybe it'll get locked at 14 days and then I'll have to like actually switch to a pay as you or not, and it's a plan. So okay. Um Although wait a minute. Didn't okay, so I created a team, not a project. Okay. Um Pay as you go service, small and okay. Data center. It's fine, I guess. Okay. Yeah. So see, 99 a month. Oh wait. And again, every 12 months. So does that mean on day 15 they're gonna charge me nearly $1,200? That's what it sounds like. So 15 days after, yeah, that's an interesting choice. That kind of scared me away a little bit from even pursuing this any further. Um, Monthly billing 129. I'm kind of curious. I'll go one more step. If it's I have to put in a credit card, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to risk that. Yeah. Okay. So, yep. So see, yeah. So immediately, I think this puts you into enterprise pricing that is committed to using this as the tool. And let's even say, I mean, I do work for an enterprise with a budget to probably handle that, um, but I don't know if this is the tool I want yet. So this kind of, yeah, um, I think is going to cause me to stop here. All right, so we're going to go over and try the self-hosted path because I think this is immediately, on day 15, like I'm going to build what I need in one sprint, maybe, but I'm probably not going to go live into production with that, which then means I get hit with a big budget I've committed to a full year at that point after 15 days. Um, yeah. Um, so let's find out more about it from self-hosting and things like that, and then I can decide whether um, that's the path I want to go. Okay. So we'll stop that. Let's go back to that quick start self-hosted installation. So we created an account, but it's looking like that's not particularly helpful because we're not going to be using the cloud solution from them. So you would need a Docker installed and running on your machine. Do I still have Docker running on my machine? Let's find out. Mm, that was weird. Okay, I guess I got a couple of terminal or windows open. What's going on? Interesting. Well, anyway, I do have a version of Docker running. So Docker run. Yes, I don't want to type this in. I'm just going to get it wrong. Okay, key replace with random value. Is that random enough? I don't know. We'll call this a test though. All right. So I don't know. Create a project. You would need Docker, open the terminal and run the following. I don't know what's going to happen when I do this. Right. So it's asking me to replace, I mean, it's a key secret, but a key secret for me to be able to log into it is this running. All right, let's make sure that that's running. Might have shut it down. Okay, let's. Okay. Once logged in, I feel like okay, so that's what it is. I have to jump over here. Okay. Wait. So I should have created a compose file. Well, I guess so, and I think there's an element here. So, like again, so I thought I knew what I was getting coming in. I have an idea what the problem I want, and I think this is a tool that should enable me to do it. Um, it's not clear to me what I'm getting though. Um, right, like I'm trying to run this thing, but I don't know what it's going to come out the other end. Um, like, is it? Am I going to get a web application like an admin dashboard to log into? Is it running a version of a a local database of some sort, like a Postgres or SQLite fork or something? Um, and then when I come over here, I feel like there's just I think this should be more, I think it would help to me if this was a little bit more strong, that it's not just, oh, learn more. It's no, you need to go follow these directions a little bit, but maybe not creating, so it's again, once I have it running, which I have it running, this quick start looks like it only gets to the compose up. Okay, so it should be available on my local host. I don't see public URL should be a full URL. Does that mean it did the wrong thing? Um, let's see if I can go take a look in Docker and figure out. So sorry, I have Docker up on the other side. Like, is it listening on the same port? Yeah, it looks like it's exposing 8055. So looks like I don't have a conflict. So let's go ahead. Localhost 8055. Okay. And then I should be able to log in as the admin. I think I saw that fly by. So if I had a compose file, I could do that. And I have my key and my secret, which is fine. This is just some example, presumably. I don't need to save it because I'm not going to use that. And I'm not going to open this up to the world either. Okay. So, So is this, maybe I should be thinking of this like PHP my admin or something, like, right? Like a MySQL, user interface. This is maybe the last time I used, a web application for administering a database. I'm sure there's lots of others, but I haven't run my own database in quite some time, I guess, all considered. So this is saying, okay, so create a collection. So I think there was a little bit of a gap here. So like, I think the Directus Cloud could say, oh, go to whatever it is, dashboard.directus or cloud.directus.com or IO and then in the self-hosted, you could say open up localhost. That might have just saved me a little bit of confusion there. Creating a collection. Once logged in, you're greeted with the option to create your first collection. Navigate into the content module, create collection. So is that what I'm seeing here? So this is the content module. Maybe I just say I could just create the collection button. So let's try this again. Developer XP. I don't know what I'm doing here yet. Okay. So creating a new collection. Should I be thinking of this as like a relational store, graph, vector? Right, there's lots of storage architectures now, right? I guess, right, like I like those. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay. So I created a, okay. So I have, okay, so if I click here, I have a data model. I can create fields like, all right, let's come back here. Fill in a name, articles. Okay, create a field. So, okay, so if I come here and create a field, maybe it is a text and numbers. Okay, key, a unique column name. Say that we're going to look at different products, right? Like as far as my schedule is concerned. Um, so we need that. And then schedule, whoops, I need a date, time. So, so I can't use hyphens, do underscores though, schedule date. Okay. So I created a couple of fields. Um, and then from there, oops, let's get rid of that for a second. Navigate to the content module. So I think I know what's saying it's saying here, but I could see why this would be confusing because I'm in the data model. I need to get to the content module, but I'm not sure what the content module is per se. But I guess it's this. And then create an item. So I can create an item. So I could be like direct this and a at 3:30. Okay. Okay. That seems reasonable. So okay, so so into quick start here. So it's getting into roles and permissions. And this is another area that's always worth a good discussion of whether or not you want to set somebody off on the right footing, right? Like as you saw, I just was trying to blast through this, so I haven't set up any of the right security things. I defaulted to an admin and stuff like that. So I'm gonna have to change some of those things. Um, there's a few things I am interested in to a certain extent too. I did not set up my own compose file, so that data I just created, is it being written to disk somewhere? Like, am I going to be able to recover this application? I would assume so, but like, where on disk is it going to be writing it? Is that a place I would configure myself? So if I'm pushing it out to run on like a EC2 instance or something like that, attach storage. Um, I'll have to figure that out too. And then connect to the API. So now that your project has some content, um, okay. So I can go to the URL. And so here, this is another place where this is assuming the cloud solution, but really it's localhost 8055. Okay, don't have permission. So this is not the case. Now, presumably I set a key in secret and I'm not passing it a token. I'm just making a get call. But maybe I would assume I created this table. I didn't set permissions. Did it tell me about permissions? Oh, I skipped that section, didn't I? Set roles and permissions. Public and admin. Okay. By default, content is considered private. So navigate to settings, module, roles and permissions. Wait, sorry. Settings, roles and permissions. Is it the security section? What? I'm sorry, am I not processing? Okay, navigate to the settings module, roles and permissions, public. Settings, access control, maybe? Yeah, that would make more sense to me. Okay, so create, read. Okay. So I'm okay with others reading it. So is that all I had to do? And then I come here and look at this and oh, okay. Oh, there's no articles. So that's another one. Sometimes if you follow the directions, it'll work. Um, so yeah, so I'm not looking for items, articles. I'm looking for what my collection was, which was what did I call it? Developer XP, and then products. No, what did I do? Yeah, I guess just developer XP. So it gets me back my Directus product and scheduled date. All right. Well, let's. All right. Where are we at time wise? It was a little over a half hour, but I'd say this is definitely the hello world. I was able to pull it down, run it within a doc. I already had Docker here. It wasn't fired up yet, but generally speaking, was able to get into user interface, created a table, added some sample data, and then went through it. So as far as a quick start's concerned, and again, the skipping step 5 um, was on me as a mistake I made. I think maybe, set roles and permissions. I was assuming that this was, start like expanding for your team to access the admin dashboard, not the data itself. So I think it's just that heading, like if I just said open data for read only access or something like that, maybe I would have actually not skimmed that so carelessly. Um, but all in all, that seems nice. Um, so they do ask for feedback. You can jump to different pages. Tells me this was updated a little while ago. Let's see what else, just in terms of before I sign off. So I got the hello world. Before I sign off, let's take a peek at what else they got here in terms of organization. So just quick start. The architecture is a thing that I'm interested in. I do like pictures. I don't seem to be able to zoom in on this picture though, or at least I can't click and look at it. Right mouse click is disabled. Or is it just my mouse being weird? Something wonky is happening, so I don't know. I might need to reboot. Um, Shut this down and reboot. Um, yeah. Okay. I get it now. I think I get it. Um, I can manipulate any, data storage I need. I have a user interface that would work for it. The UX seems fine. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but I could add more users. I can add files. I'm guessing I can build a dashboard to find out how much data is being accessed, maybe, or which data is being accessed. Um, Settings, I can manipulate my data model, access control, webhooks if things change. I don't know what's under extensions, theming. Mm, I'm guessing this is just theming of Directus itself, which is fine. Okay. Let's see layout options. Wonder what, I don't know. Okay. Hmm. And presumably as an admin, I can create my self a user account and then, not use the admin account. So then when I look at activity, I can find out who's doing it. I mean, I am interested in learning a little bit more about how this works. So that was that architecture. I would like to zoom in on that, but doesn't seem like that's in the cards right now. Um, Plug and pay database, but yeah, definitely. Okay. I know I'm not talking right now, but hey, successful onboarding, I'd say, under an hour. Had some data up. Was able to get the dependencies. I think I haven't deployed anything, but I think that's a lot to ask, especially in like 3 or 5 minutes. Um, but I suppose I could probably, run this container somewhere else. Um, Architecturally, I would definitely have to go through here and try to figure out like what is data, disaster recovery look like, what alternatives to the data store, if I need to optimize or investigate if something's not, quickly working. I think there's a lot more to look at, especially like the API itself in terms of queryability. Really, all I did was get it up and running. I did manage to see that, yeah, I could go to this URL, so presumably I could wrap up a GET request and pull this data into a web app and start using it, right? Like I have my proof point there. Um, it's an interesting positioning, me coming in with that headless CMS expectation. So all in all, cool. There's lots of guides I could explore. It's again, here they are emphasizing the headless CMS side of things, security best practices. That's cool. Wonder what extensions has to do. If this is just about changing this web app. Yeah, I'd have to really consider, I mean, the end user for my application would be me. Certainly using a web application would be much easier than, alternatives to put data in and out. Okay, I will call it. So thank you for um, hearing me out and seeing what we got with Directus today. And join me next time. Subscribe to be notified. I trying Monday, Wednesday, Friday if I don't have other meetings or commitments and things. So definitely subscribe to be actually notified when the next one's coming up. I'm going to try to get a few more scheduled for this week. There's I might not jump right into some of the alternatives in this headless CMS space. I think, like I said, I'm going to go into user management a little bit first, but I'll probably have a sanity as well as contentful on my agenda at some point. So thanks. Have a good day. Rest of your day.